Good morning, friends. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal and Adab. Today, this video is again related to Ambala, but I would be covering a very important act, which I will be in a separate video covering these specifics of the act. This is the House Accommodation Act. And during this period, there was even a record of rights made for Ambala as an example in 57 cantonments of British India. So, Ambala cantonment was picked up by the Britishers as an example setter, and you will be surprised by the orders then, which is written on page 8 of the Cantonment Laws, volumes 1986, where the amalgamations after the World War I and II of the officers took place, that there was 701.2 acres of land which was in the house accommodation area and record of rights considered to be freehold land. And this entire land was derequisitioned in the British era and further after independence under the Rape Act. So when this amalgamation between the officers of the CO, MEO then and the DO took place, the Cantonment Act 1924 was extensively amended in 1936, and this gave birth to a Cantonment Executive Officers Services Rules, and these were framed in 1937. A land branch of the department was also constituted. So these services now were being bifurcated. So by 1948, the entire military land manual or the CLAs and everything were getting amalgamated. And finally, these rules were framed in a combination in 1951. So this kept going on. So the actual land in Ambala, it was 9,318.75 acres, out of which, if we minus that 701.8 acres, which I just mentioned was freehold or 2.2, comes out to approximately 8,006 acres of land, which was in active occupation of the army. Now, but there was Sadr Bazaars, there was British Infantry Bazaar, there was British Royal Bazaar, and there was Royal Horse Artillery Bazaar, which is called the Topkhana Bazaar. So now, as per the page 67 of the Ambala Gazetteer 1823, it clearly said that after the lapse of the state from Dayak, or which is skeeted, and the sovereign rights were basically given after a death to the British but were reimbursed, the town was demarcated in 1843 as Ambala Cantonment. But at that time, there was no House Accommodation Act. But when the House Accommodation Act's applicability was notified, the bylaw on page 138 of Cantonment Bylaws 1937, Rule 30 clearly says that the House Accommodation Act area is applicable, and it reflects in the Governor General Orders of Regulation 1856 on page 245 of the CLA Rules 1937, where it clearly shows why were these survey numbers or the cadastral survey numbers given to these plots which are now called bungalow areas. So the 1833 house property register must have been there. Where is this written? This is written in the Imperial Gazetteer of 1902, page 503. So now coming to the Bylaw 30 and the House Accommodation Act applicability for Ambala Cantonment. And you can dig in for your cantonment. Now I'll read this. So the notification of 19th April 1927, number 12062, exercises the power conferred by subsection 1, Section 3 of the Cantonment House Accommodation Act. The Governor General in Council, with the previous sanction, is pleased to supersession the previous notifications of the subject to declare the said act to be operative in the areas of Ambala Cantonment and the boundaries of which notified area is as follows. Schedule from the junction of Mansfield Road, Bazaar Road, along Mansfield Road to the junction with Alexandra Road, along Alexandra Road to the junction with Durand Road, along the Durand Road to the junction with Mall Road, along Mall Road to the junction with Ellenbuorough Road, along now Ellenburough Road number 35, along the northwest of bungalow number 35, 37, 46, 45, and the prelongation to this boundary to Symons Road, along Symons Road to the junction with northwest bungalow number 16, along the northeast boundaries of bungalow number 9 and number 10 to Park Road, along this Park Road, and now the road to the junction with the southwest boundary of bungalow number 29B, along with the boundaries of bungalow number 29B to the junction with Staff Road, along Staff Road to the junction with B.I Mess Road to the boundaries of bungalow number 127, 126, 126A and 126B to the junctions of the B.I Bazaar Road, along the B.I Bazaar Road, the junction with Mansfield Road. Now, this is one area. The second area is from the southwest corner of bungalow number 28 to the north corner of bungalow number 132. Hence, to the northeast corner of bungalow number 144. Hence, to the northeast of bungalow number 147. Hence, to the east corner of bungalow number 150. To the south corner of bungalow number 150. Along the south boundary of bungalow number 150 to 139. To the junction with North Infantry Center Road, along North Infantry Center Road to the junctions with the south boundary of bungalow number 129. Hence, along the south boundary of bungalow number 128 to southwest corner of bungalow number 128. Now, you will see this plan. I am attaching it for you, the viewers. And I request every cantonment has this notification and has this bylaw which defines the limits of the House Accommodation Act 1902. General Order separates headquarters 31st July 1856. The limits of cantonment bazaar shall be marked by the local magistrate or political agents of commanding officer in conjunction. In these limits, private property is not to be included. So, where are these 1856 bazaar areas or notified areas? Friend, you have to understand why am I speaking all this. This is all because of those cantonment boundary pillars and military boundary pillars till the final notification of the cantonment boundary pillars. When the local magistrate was marking these pillars in conjunctions with the already marked pillars, the report and a plan thereof are to be signed by both these officers and submitted to the Quartermaster General for approval of the government and publication when approved in journal orders. Where are these orders? Where are these plans? Now, this plan of each cantonment, or let's say my cantonment, which I am holding, assigned will be kept with the QMG, where it is duly registered, and a copy thereof with registered of enclosure will be furnished by the divisional assistants to each brigade or station commanding officer, who is to report to the divisional headquarter of all changes in boundaries and the occupations which occur. All such changes to be reported by the divisional assistant to Quartermaster General to enable to the correctness of the registers and standard plans maintained in the office. Now friends, understand there is a chapter which is called 15 in Survey of Imperial Gazetteer, how cadastral numbers were given to private properties. Cadastral number is not given to Parliament House or government owned properties. Survey numbers or the cadastral numbers are only given to private properties. Revenue surveys were commenced in 1822 of west of Jamna and Delhi, Panipat and Rohtak district. So now that means after 1822 only would be that Satluj state got their cadastral survey numbers. So including these hilly tracts of Kasauli, Jatok, Dakshai and all. So all these zamandaris and zaildaris had to be noted. Large states had to be noted. So the plan, which varies from 4 inches to half an inch to a mile, is in the Quartermaster General office. So if we see what is House Accommodation Act and why its applicability as an act was being done within the cantonment. Let's say in 1902 when this act finally, this bill, House Accommodation Act of 1889 finally became a bill in 1902, further amended in 1923, was actually implied on to my cantonment Ambala. Why was it? All lands and cantonments were belonging to the government. They were all grants, which they use as a terminology, old grant. So what was the need of this? Now, do you know, some legal luminaries and specifically in Ambala and some in other cantonments would shout on to me, no, Mr. Das, the minute you use House Accommodation Act, this act was only for tenancy of bungalows. Meaning by that we had to compulsorily rent out our bungalows to the army or to the then MES. You will be surprised. Read this act, what it speaks. What is the definition of presidency town? What is the meaning of a area which is under the House Accommodation Act? There is a full report given by the Legal Remembrance Cell of the British where the House Accommodation Act becomes applicable. The Cantonment Code, Cantonment Act, CLA rules and codes become null and void. On one particular area, you can't impose two acts on me. So one needs to understand. So I just discussed Satluj, within it Ambala, and we have our plan which I have shown you in this video. And I request every cantonment dig into this House Accommodation Act plan or bylaw of your cantonment. And I bet you people have nothing to lose from the government. If once it is proven that your state, your bungalow, your survey number fell in the limits of the House Accommodation Act. Guys, once again, we were old grants. We were supposed to be converted into new grants as per the Governor General Orders of 1763, 65, 70, 73, 1993, 1793 and 1795. Had we been converted into a new grant under GGO 179 of 1836, then we cannot be an old grant. So wake up. Thank you.